was today approached about 500 miles from the Iranian coast by an Iranian drone, flying aggressively and with unclear intent, according to U.S. Central Command.
The U.S. Navy fighter jet shot down an Iranian drone approaching the USS Abraham Lincoln.
This just happened. Reports confirm that Russian military helicopters are now flying patrols over the Iranian capital. At the same time, the United States Navy has engaged and destroyed an Iranian drone in a direct confrontation at sea. Let us look closely at the events of the last 2 days. The images coming out of Tehran paint a picture of a capital city that feels like it is preparing for a final stand. Observers on the ground have reported a very unusual sound in the sky. These are not the engines of the standard Iranian Air Force inventory. Confirmed reports indicate that Mi-8 and Mi-28 helicopters are flying low over the city. These are Russian machines. They were brought in under an emergency protocol. They are patrolling the capital as if the government is expecting an invasion, but the threat they are looking for is not coming from outside the borders. It is coming from the streets below. This specific detail tells us everything about the current state of the regime's psychology. The leadership is displaying a deep fear of its own population. By relying on imported hardware and potentially foreign mercenary pilots to secure the heart of the capital, the government is admitting a dangerous reality. They do not fully trust their own military personnel. They remember their history. In 1979, it was the Air Force that played a critical role in the fall of the Shah. Today, the current leadership seems terrified that history is about to repeat itself. They are buying an insurance policy from Moscow because they cannot rely on the loyalty of their own generals. These helicopters are not there to fight a foreign army. They are there to control the city. While the skies over Tehran are filled with foreign rotors, the situation in the waters to the south has crossed a red line. The shadow war is over. The confrontation is now direct. Confirmed reports from major news agencies state that an incident occurred in the Arabian Sea involving the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group. An Iranian drone identified as a Shahed 136 or a similar attack variant made a hostile approach toward the American fleet. This was not a camera drone taking pictures. This was a weapon. In the past, American forces might have used electronic jamming or fired warning shots. That phase has passed. The rules of engagement have shifted to direct elimination. American F/A-18 Super Hornets launched from the carrier and shot the drone out of the sky. It was destroyed instantly. This is a kinetic response. It sends a clear signal that the United States is no longer tolerating gray zone harassment. The patience is gone. The details of this encounter are even more concerning. Military sources suggest this was not a lone wolf attack. Radar systems picked up other signals, other ghosts in the air that did not engage. This suggests a testing of defenses. The Iranian operators were likely measuring how fast the Americans could react. They wanted to know how many seconds it takes for the Aegis defense system to lock on. They are gathering data for a potential swarm attack. The Pentagon understands this calculation. That is why the response was not just to shoot down the drone, but to deploy B-52 bombers to the region. The message is that the next mistake will not be met with a warning, but with a strategic bomber. While the military pressure builds on the borders, the internal situation in Iran is suffering from a catastrophic system failure. The economy has entered what can be described as a digital coma. In an attempt to stop people from organizing protests, the state cut off the internet. But in the year 2024, you cannot cut off the internet without cutting the jugular vein of your own economy. The data is staggering. The daily cost of this blackout is estimated at $33 million, but the money is only part of the story. The logistics network of the entire country has frozen. Goods are rotting at the ports because the digital customs systems are offline. Trucks cannot move because they cannot process digital waybills. This is a self-inflicted siege. The impact has reached the most vulnerable levels of society. Pharmacies are hanging signs in their windows saying they have no medicine. It is not because the medicine does not exist, but because the ordering systems are down. Cancer patients and people with diabetes are being cut off from life-saving treatments because the government is afraid of Instagram and WhatsApp. The banking system is paralyzed. Shopkeepers are sitting in open stores with no customers because credit cards do not work. The regime tried to blind the protesters, but instead, they have starved the merchants and the civil servants who used to be their base of support. They have set fire to the branch they are sitting on. This pressure has caused a rupture at the very top of the political structure. Reports are circulating with the headline, "Game Over." This is not coming from the opposition. This sentiment is coming from inside the halls of power. The political elite in Tehran has split into two hostile camps. On one side, you have the new president and the reformist wing. They are looking at the economic ruin and the American warships, and they are pleading for negotiations. They are saying that the country cannot survive this course. On the other side, you have the supreme leader and the hardliners. Their response to the crisis is to double down. They are saying that any step backward is a death sentence. This is a governance crisis of the highest order. You have a head of state and a head of government giving contradictory orders. The chain of command is breaking. The police on the street are caught between a president who says de-escalate and a supreme leader who implies fight to the death. The infighting has become vicious. There are serious reports that the judiciary has been ordered to show no mercy. But they are not just targeting kids in the street, they are targeting the former leaders of the country. There is talk of house arrest or treason charges for former presidents. These are men who were once the face of the revolution. Now the system is eating its own. When a regime starts calling its own founding members traitors, it is a sign of deep panic. It means the circle of trust has shrunk to almost nothing. And yet, despite the Russian helicopters, the American bombers, and the political purges, the biggest threat to the regime is still on the street corners. It is the women of Iran. The economic collapse has reignited the anger that began years ago. But now it is driven by hunger, as well as a desire for freedom. When a mother cannot buy milk because the banking system is down, she loses her fear of the security forces. Intelligence reports indicate that the protests are evolving. They are being organized at the neighborhood level, often led by women who have nothing left to lose. You can intimidate a political party. You can arrest a general, but it is very difficult to stop a population that feels it has no future left to protect. The military escalation in the Gulf is shocking. The shift from gray zone conflict to kinetic conflict is vital. For years, Iran has operated in the gray zone. They used proxies. They used unclaimed drones. They used deniable sabotage. This allowed them to strike without triggering a full war. The shooting down of the drone and the direct attribution of the attack removes that ambiguity. The United States is signaling that the gray zone is closed. If you send a drone, we will shoot it. If you threaten a ship, we will respond with bombers. This removes the regime's favorite lever of power. They can no longer poke the bear without getting clawed. They are being forced to choose between a humiliating retreat or a suicidal open war. So what are the consequences of this unraveling? In the short term, the crackdown inside Iran will likely get much worse. The no mercy order from the judiciary suggests that the state is going to try to use extreme violence to break the will of the streets. However, because of the economic collapse, this violence might not work the way it used to. Hunger is a very powerful motivator. If people cannot feed their families because the banking system is down, the threat of arrest becomes less terrifying. We should expect to see the protests morph into food riots and economic survival movements. Externally, the risk of a miscalculation is now at its highest point. With American pilots authorized to shoot and Iranian operators testing the defensive perimeter, a single mistake could lead to a rapid escalation. If an Iranian drone accidentally hits a US ship, or if a US missile hits a target inside Iran that was not intended, the situation could spiral out of control in hours. The diplomatic channels are open, but the military triggers are cocked. Looking further ahead, we have to consider the 7 scenarios that military analysts are discussing. The most dangerous ones are the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the Israeli factor. If the regime feels it is truly about to fall, it might try to play its last card, mining the Strait of Hormuz. This is the narrow channel through which 20% of the world's oil passes. Closing it would send global oil prices skyrocketing and crash the world economy. It is a suicide vest option. It would invite a massive international military response, likely destroying the Iranian navy entirely, but the regime might see it as their only leverage left. Then there is the Israeli scenario. If intelligence suggests that Iran is distracted by internal chaos and decides to sprint for a nuclear weapon to save itself, Israel might strike unilaterally. This would not wait for American permission. A strike on Tehran's facilities, while the regime is fighting its own people, would be the big breakpoint. It would turn a civil conflict into a massive regional war involving Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the US. Ultimately, the future of Iran is not going to be decided by a drone in the ocean or a helicopter in the sky. It is going to be decided by the collapse of the internal systems. A state cannot function when its leaders are arresting each other, its economy is offline, and its people are hungry. The trajectory is clear. The system is grinding toward a halt. Whether that end comes with a whimper or a massive explosion depends on the choices made in the next few days. The game, as the insiders are saying, is reaching its end. The pieces are moving, and there are very few moves left on the board. So what do you think? We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay informed about our new analyses and global breaking points. Thank you for choosing us.